European champions, the treble, the dream come true for you.
Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell. But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Woo, sir. How we doing? How we doing? Manchester United 1, Manchester City 2. United lose the FA Cup final to their bitter rivals in Blue City. Unfortunately, we just weren't up to it on the day. United didn't play our best game of football. Came out slow, got punished early, and second best,
right away.
Second best the entire, basically the entire game. Wasn't good enough of a performance because I think their opportunities, if you were to rewatch this match, were there to be had. But United needed to play up to the caliber their potential is matched at, and it wasn't even close. Wasn't good enough, especially in the midfield. Casemiro and Bruno did okay, but Eriksen was like way off the park. He should have been hooked at halftime. That was a late sub that happened late in the second half. De Gea didn't have a great game. Attackers didn't have a great game. And ultimately, you have like 1,000 ways that this City team can cut you apart. We fought valiantly. At the end of the day, kept it close. We even had a chance to get a tie, push it into overtime at the end of the game, but ultimately came up short. Disappointing way to end what is a very strong first season for the manager. Hey, 2 months, American Red Devils finally get a break, finally get a blow. But I think this United side are going to be stewing on the way they lost against a team that's headed to win in trouble. They ain't going to lose to Inter after beating us, and I think on our day we could have had them. And today we just, I don't want to say we didn't show up, but we left a lot on the pitch that, we needed to put together.
Pod's taking a blow. Pod never sleeps. We'll be back with our season recap next weekend. It was a tough final. I think this is what we are, really. You see United, you see this team. You watch City play Arsenal at home, and they just demolished them. They did not demolish us today. They scored within 13 seconds. They didn't demolish us. We were in this game, and oh, by the way, Casemiro didn't play well. Eriksen didn't play well. Rashford didn't play well. Bruno didn't really turn on until the second half. There was players who didn't even show up, and we were in the game against like the best team ever, which is incredible. And the problem with this United side is when you boil it down to a cup final, you boil it down to these big moments. United haven't been in the big moments this season. You think of going to Arsenal, going to the Emirates, trying to get the result. We let them win it late. Newcastle away. There's a lot of Liverpool away. We all have riding high going into the Anfield, thinking we're going to win. Just get played off the park. I don't think this was capitulation, but in the moments, the big moments, United have come up short this season. We had the shot at the title, wet noodled it. All right, top four. We almost wet noodled that. There's something about this team where if everyone plays their best on the day, we can beat the best team in the country that is Man City. But on the day, it's hard. How can we show up guaranteed? We didn't show up today. I think that's really the point, is that even with not our best, it was 1-1, and it took a horrible set-piece goal with Gundogan unmarked to let City win the FA Cup. And if you want to win leagues and you want to win trophies, you have to be consistent, and consistency is something we have lacked this season. And it's a shame to see the talent on the pitch not play well and still be in this game. And it was almost confusing because we let in a goal 13 seconds in. We're in it to start the second half, and this is the best team ever. I mean, it didn't look like that. They didn't come at us like wave after wave. We weren't hanging on like we were a lower table side. Like we were going into the game. It was 2 bad goals that we shouldn't have given up. We got lucky with the VAR call, but, we'll take it all day. Just something about this season you have to think about. This team has the talent, but the consistency is not there. And City probably they have the talent and the consistency, and that's the difference between winning trebles and not.
Yeah, and I don't think United played bad. I just don't think we played great. And in order to win or be in this match and have a really good chance at it, we had to play great. We didn't play great. But I think there's a lack of experience, right? Obviously, some of these lads are older, but as a squad, we don't have the seasons playing back-to-back that this City team does. I think what you see is the glaring issues around the squad. Is like the three biggest things that we need to fix in the summer. We need a number 9 lockdown. We need an upgrade of Christian Eriksen. He looked nowhere near it. I mean, he has not looked near it since he got back from his injury. Casemiro, he's rebounded since his suspensions. Eriksen does not look like a player.
Casemiro didn't have a good game today.
Casemiro had a decent game, and AWB had a decent game, but Eriksen.
AWB was solid.
Finish
But
my
the
point.
thing is, like,
The
AWB is solid going back, but he didn't lend anything in the attack going forward. You know, the problem is we didn't play great.
But let's talk about the 3 positions that I was talking about.
Rashford
which
played
is,
9. He didn't play
You
great.
need an upgrade in Eriksen. You need a number 9, and you need another goalkeeper because you can't play out the back. All you do is hump it upfield. We lost the ball so many times by just giving it away. And at the same time, De Gea should have saved the second goal. Simple as that. You get your hand on the ball, you got to save it. That's not why we lost today.
Screened by
but
Varane
the issues we have in this team is squad and squad depth. It's like we've gotten Erik ten Hag's gotten a shit ton out of the team he has at his disposal. But if you ever have to bring Wout Weghorst on, and we can argue whether or not Wout was the right choice because he wasn't. You're better off bringing Facundo because Wout, I love that. And now, what'd you say? Someone else said it. It's like giving yourself a red card. He does nothing. He offers nothing. That's on the manager to a certain extent, but also, like, he's the only fit number 9 we have. Rashford's the left winger. And this summer is a big summer for Manchester United because we need a number 9. We need an upgrade on Eriksen, and we need a new goalie. Someone to challenge De Gea immediately or be a project because he ain't the guy going forward.
No, but those are the positions we're going to assign. But either way, when it comes to Gundogan unmarked on a set piece, $80 million for a defender, like however much money like we signed our midfielders for, that's just something that's just been plaguing United forever. And you're not going to win titles and you're not going to win trophies if that's what happens on a regular basis. And that's really what we saw today is we saw our team not at their best. And United fans are used to seeing Manchester United show their best in the best moments. Like we saw a B-C level from United, and we almost took them to extra time, which is incredible. That's the frustrating part for me as the fan. I think it's a positive, but it's my frustrations with this team where it's like, if we played our best, we would beat them in regular time. And that is the greatest team of all time. And like, I don't know why that is. And in those big moments, I feel like when you play these finals, everything is magnified. Like Ten Hag not making the Eriksen choice earlier. I didn't think he should have started for the reasons that you said. He hasn't been on it. City are going to play around him. He's going to be a liability. We're going to need someone who can work.
Give him a half.
He didn't make the move, and that's magnified. And then you see the goal. And then bringing, like, we were playing back into the game. I felt like Sancho was involved. We started getting our attack, and then he puts Wout on, and then it's gone.
Yeah, it's
I think the manager's those decisions are magnified in a final. Like, who knows if the equalizer was on the way with Sancho on the pitch in our front 3 as we were gaining momentum. I felt like he broke that up right away, putting Wout on. It just didn't go our way. It didn't go away for our manager. It didn't go away for our big players. And it's tough to see. You got to eat the L in a cup final. And it's even more frustrating to see that they're on their way to the treble. And we had the chance. It was there. It was there for the taking. 1-1.
It was.
The fact we didn't see United really take it to them at 1-1. And then at 2-1, I did feel like we just didn't have the gear. We didn't have the gear to switch into. It's been a long season. There's a lot of excuses you can make. And it's a tough one to see because as United fans, we show up in finals and we win them. And I thought Garnacho was a hell of a player, though. Everything I'm saying does not apply to him because he almost did it. I mean, he almost stole that. The way we were getting the ball out wide to him. But then we put it on Wout, and like that whole thing just stopped. The whole Wout train. It's the end of the year.
But that's that's front office, bro. I know you blame Erik ten Hag for playing him too much, which is fair. But he shouldn't be on the squad. We know how we feel. We don't have to drag him through the mud. But he's not a good football player. At the end of the day, pick a different sport.
But at the 77th
point
minute, that was like
the bench is built by the front office, and they have like a $400 million bench, and we have an $80 million defender who we're going to sell for scraps. This is like, it takes a while to build a club up to the place where City is at. And I think what you said was good, which is that like United didn't play at its best, and we were still in this game.
That's what's
If
crazy.
we played well, we could have won this. And that's just the most frustrating. Is like if we actually played like we played
We
at
had
home,
no
we didn't
attack.
beat them. We would have beat them.
Rashford didn't have a good day. Bruno didn't have his best. Sancho didn't. He went. Our midfield, like Eriksson didn't have a good day. Casemiro,
had a
like,
bad day.
if you told us that Rashford wasn't going to have a good day, Bruno was going to be off, Eriksson wasn't going to play well, Fred, great game. You know, like the majority of our team didn't have great games. You know, and if you show up in a final against like what people are calling arguably one of the best teams ever, you're not going to win. And the fact that we didn't lose by more is incredible, given we didn't have our best stuff. So as United fans, we have to hang our heads high after this season. I know as like cliche and as like annoying as that is, it's like this is a process. I feel like Ten Hag got us into the mix maybe a little too early. And it's a double-edged sword because next season everyone's going to be wanting us to challenge. You saw when Ole finished second, it was the next season that killed them. That was the death blow. We got a
Jose.
sale process going on. There's way more issues to be had at United, and we've seen Ten Hag ace a lot of tests here at United, dealing with the issues in the front office, dealing with the director of football, like you mentioned. But he's got to deal with the sale of the club as well. And this summer, this squad, the decisions to be made, we're going to be covering it all summer, and I think that's going to be a huge part of how next season turns out, because we've already seen some moves that are like very interesting. When you think of Mason Mount, is that guy going to get us closer to Man City? And these are who are we going to sign to be a striker? Who's going to be the striker? Like you said, we're dying for one. It's going to be a big summer for Manchester United, and one where I hope if you look back at the history of this club, it all starts with this loss. You see how hard Garnacho's taken it. This is usually teams have to get close to the rivals to overtake them, and I hope we're on our way with Erik ten Hag.
Hey, I believe in the manager, but at the end of the day, he's going to continue to be handicapped if the owners are the owners. Because if the owners are the owners, then Richard Arnold and John Murtaugh will continue to run the show, and those guys aren't up to it. They are like, we have one of the worst front offices in football, in the EPL at least, maybe like in the category of Everton and Chelsea under their new owner, who's a laugh riot, making Ed Woodward look like a tactical genius. So it's not going to matter to a certain extent, because Erik ten Hag, how much money is he going to get this summer? When are they going to make signings? Are they going to leave it late so we have to overpay for players like we did? If you had not overpaid for Casemiro and Anthony, you could have gotten like a workman young striker. You could have gotten a workman young goalkeeper to be on the up and up and challenge De Gea. And instead, you're going to be looking at the same thing. We're going to be overpaying everywhere, bro. We're not going to have no new front office by the time the window closes on September 1st. We're going to have the same Payet boys. They might get a budget. They probably will, because the Glazers are probably going to hang around in a secondary capacity, and they'll give them money to give like meat to the, to the masses. They got to.
It could be worse. It could be Chelsea, right? So it's like we don't know what
Chelsea's had a much better last decade than we have.
No, but getting on the other side of a new Getting on the other side of a new owner, Chelsea thought they were going to sell, and then a new owner was going to come in and like give them this big boost, and it's been the opposite.
Well, Newcastle had a boost.
Well, Newcastle has had a boost, but you're right. It's going to be interesting how this goes. Nobody knows. I think that's the issue is the uncertainty. We have our manager. We have some semblance of a squad. We went toe-to-toe with City today. Look, this is straight up pod therapy. This is a tough L to take. I mean, there's no way any United fan is going to be excited about watching City complete the treble. But, at the rate they're going,
nobody cares, though.
Might as well
let them have it. Honestly, it's like nobody gives a shit. They're always going to do it. They got Haaland, bro. They got this freak striker that's going to be a generational defining striker.
He's going to leave for Madrid eventually.
Yeah, he will, because you'd much. I mean, I love Manchester, but I spent 6 months in Madrid. You'd rather hang out Madrid as a superstar than probably Manchester. And eventually,
the question is, how long are they going to ride this wave? Is it going to be a 5-year wave or a 2-year wave?
Hopefully, it's a 2-3-year wave. Stack a couple trebles, and then they move on with their life.
Exactly. It's like so.
But nobody still cares. Like, nobody cares. That's the thing.
I get that.
I know. And I'll tell you what, NBC Sports, they care. ESPN FC, they care, because all they care about is like, oh, this team is so great. But football don't care, bro. Football fans, football community, they look down on City because it's a sad state. It's a sad state of affairs. They're cheaters. They have no introspection. They built this team, with
The
oil
saddest
money,
part of all
and
of
they
this-
act like they're like, what, 115 charges? Whatever.
Well, here's
We're the greatest
deal.
manager
Like,
ever.
The real rub, and then we'll get into the rest of the pod here, is the saddest part of it all is we spend just as much as they have.
Yeah,
And
that's
we
what front
are
office matters.
Nightmares.
Yeah.
We
have
are
blown money.
We are literally a nightmare. Like,
And they have a
that
great
is
front office.
But United has been a nightmare consistently for the last decade, and that's literally the issue with Manchester United. It's like
Who's responsible for that?
How do you go? It's a business school case study. How do you go from like the greatest manager of all time to basically a nightmare? And boy, did you see his reaction when Wout Weghorst got on the pitch. That's all I gotta say. Quick PSA for the
That was
podcast.
your reaction.
If you like the America Red Devils and you like the pod therapy we have after this final, and if you're listening, you're a true OG because this is just brutal watching City win that. I just shut it off. You can support us patreon.com/America Red Devils. You get a behind the scenes episode every single month. Tons of other benefits. Please check it out. We don't have any sponsors. Keep our podcast ad free, and we're going to be going all summer. So everything you do helps us put gas in the tank, keeping these hot takes coming. Check out our blog, AmericaRedDevils.com. Check out our merch, AmericaDevils.store. You can like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff everyone always tells you to do. But for us, it matters because it's just two lads in the garage just talking United. And boy, today is one of those tough days. Sir, tell them about iTunes reviews.
It's getting hot too. It's like it's June. It's hot in the pod room, and I'll tell you what, if we're going all summer, it's going to get hotter in the pod room. But we couldn't do it without you. We couldn't do it without the fans, the America Red Devil community. Great way to support the pod. If you can't go to the store, if you can't join our Patreon, is write a 5-star review. And even better, we're giving away free gear. If you do so, all you have to do is write a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Ideally, send a screenshot to AmericanRedDevils@gmail.com with your mailing address, and I will personally pick, package, ship some free ARD gear straight to your door anywhere in the world. Here's a great one from CJ Kanya. Best United pod. Love the show. Strictly footy. Keep it up. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the American Devils listening week in, week out. It's strictly footy. It's strictly whinging. Excuse factory, whinge factory, either way. Last game of the season, Manchester City 2, Manchester United 1. The famous Wembley Stadium.
It's like
the oldest cup competition in the world.
It's the trophy doesn't even matter. It's
Look
just
at that-
the
look at that bench,
it's,
bro.
It's,
Look at that
it's
bench.
the fact that City's just it's the fact that City's on the up to another level.
They've been on the up. They're on
but
the king of the king of the
treble,
king of the mountain, bro.
Like come on,
Inter. Come on, Inter.
the footballing gods are cruel because we had a chance to stop them and we didn't, and they'll win the treble, and they'll always remember that. And
Should have,
as a
could have stopped
fan,
them. Like we
you know,
could have stopped them if we played.
We
like,
should have stopped them.
They were
It
they
was-
get rattled if
it
the way
was
we
a
play at
whimper.
them. We could play direct at times. It's like they don't know what to do. They had a lot of tactical fouls.
It's
We
gonna
didn't
be a
have
lot
enough
of whinging.
opportunities.
It's gonna be a lot of whinging today
what do you think
from
this
both
is?
of
Come
us.
on,
So
what's
let's get in this 11. Dave saves rule number 1 in net. Luke Shaw left back. Lindelof, Varane center back pairing. Wan-Bissaka at right back. Fred, Casemiro, Eriksson midfield. Eriksson playing 10. Sancho on the left. Rashford at number 9. Bruno on the right. What'd you make of this lineup when you saw it? He went with the extra midfielder. You talked about that last episode. I didn't put Eriksson in. I was worried about that because he hasn't looked great. Hasn't looked fit. And
He didn't look great. The front six I called. I think at halftime you bring in McTominay. His size, better defensively. Eriksson just got run through over and over and over again. I thought Lindelof would get bumped from Malacia at left back. Shaw got pushed into center back. It didn't happen. I don't think we were that bad defensively. Actually, they didn't have that many opportunities. There are other players that were more culpable for our faults in this match.
well,
but
we won and lost. It's won and lost in the middle of the park. It's like our back line
Yeah, our
stopped
midfield got-
Holland. We stopped Holland. Like we
midfield got
stopped
torn
all these
through.
people. It's like our
De Gea
midfield
gave up a
lost us the
soft
game.
goal. He shouldn't be letting in that second goal, bro. But
I mean, he didn't see it. Varane was.
he gets his
right
hand
in
on
front
it.
of
You got to
him.
save it, bro.
That's
The
fair.
highest
I mean,
paid goalkeeper in the world.
I mean, like I think it's just low hanging fruit to hate on De Gea for this game. He also
He
stopped
didn't play
Holland
well
on the
He did-
doorstep
dude,
to
his
keep
pass
it 2-1.
completion, we couldn't play out the back.
No,
and
but-
they were all over us because we kept lumping the ball, and they would have it. I'm just saying.
When it comes to people playing out of City's press, there's not a lot of teams that can do it because they're the best in the country at it. And when it comes to, it could have been 3-1. He stopped Holland on the doorstep. We had the opportunities, and then I think the Wout sub killed it. You know, we did, for whatever worse, it's a tough second goal to give, He kept us in the game, and our attack did nothing again. So you have to. There's a lot of blame to go around, and De Gea deserves some of it, probably a good amount. But like, just killing De Gea without saying, "Where you at, Rashford? How you doing, Sancho, Bruno, Eriksen, Casemiro?" The only person I can really say is like the back line and Fred had great. Those five, the back line
and Fred were really well,
and AWB didn't do nothing when he got in their third. He did nothing.
How often did we get in their third?
But he had a lot. But you have to
much
you
Grealish
have
do?
to if you're going to criticize De Gea, like you got to say certain things about certain players. And like, yes, defensively he is probably world class. Going forward, and that's where the Dalot saga comes in. We just didn't have our stuff today, and it's unfortunate in a final because, like I said, things are magnified, fans are frustrated, and let's get into it. You couldn't have a worse start. First half, not even the first minute. Couldn't even write this.
Semi-finals. This is the first time they have ever met in a final. Lindelof with the header and the shot, and the fastest goal ever in an FA Cup final is fired in by Ilkay Gundogan. Barely 15 seconds. Shatters the record of Louis Saha in 2009 for Everton.
Absolutely astonishing. And it just
I
gives
mean,
you
and
another-
that's Eriksen right there. I mean, Gundogan is his man. It didn't do enough, didn't track him early, and it goes in. I mean, that's a free volley. And you're talking about you got to win the midfield battle. Eriksen's not great at defense, and you're going to need someone who works all day. And that's that. I was surprised to see Ten Hag make that call. And it is unfair. It is early. It's 13 seconds in, but that's the matchup. That's the matchup. That's like a McTominay, maybe more of a dog, going to work harder in there. That's what I think you needed today, not because the benefit Eriksen would give us, he didn't really help with the playing it out. I thought we didn't play out well either.
I think the two worst performing players on the Manchester United side were both had a role in that. Eriksen, and then hey, you got to at least dive. You got to at least put in a fade effort. He like went down to his knee and just watched it go in. But I agree, Eriksen didn't close him down, and you have to do better than that.
4th minute, Rodri blast shot just wide. De Gea rooted to the spot again. Sir feels like he wants to spend a lot of time on the spot. 21st minute, Haaland turns for Ron and blasts a shot just over from outside the box, but I did feel like we controlled the Norwegian freak pretty good, at least in the first half. 31st minute, moment of madness. This is VAR saving United. Handball from Jack Grealish. I mean, this is as generous as you're going to get. It was a header. Went onto his hand. It was in a weird position. The referee gives it, points to the spot. Bruno Fernandes, ice in his veins from the penalty spot.
It's Bruno Fernandes. And thanks to a very modern VAR lifeline, Manchester United, improbably, are level in the FA Cup final.
And this is very cool. Big moment, big moment for Manchester United, based on what you just mentioned about their lack of danger. Back in it.
And at last, Manchester City have conceded a goal in this season's FA Cup.
Nothing better in the world than sad Pep Guardiola. So at this point, like you said, first 30 minutes, we were certainly under the cosh. Couldn't control play. Couldn't string together defense to mid to attack. But it was always going to take a little bit of luck to get United back in this game. I thought, hey, it's a handball. I've seen it called. I know it wasn't going on net, but we've gotten burned multiple times with handballs that felt to a neutral like it could have gone to the other side. So you get this goal, you get back in the game. I think there were opportunities at the end of the first half, but if we could go in even, it was United's advantage because I was hoping the tactician would start pulling the strings at halftime. Wasn't the case, but a big penalty, little luck on our side, and all of a sudden we're back in this game.
No, absolutely. And then Lindelof got hit in the eye with a battery from the City fans, like low class, but everyone knows that. I mean, these fans pretty much are like paid to be in the stands because I doubt they have this many fans. 42nd minute, best chance for United of the half. Flick corner finds Varane far post, but he blasts it wide. This one was a huge chance. It's tough to get your boot around that one on target for Varane. It kind of dropped to him there. But United in the mix, not the best first half, like we talked about. You don't want to concede early. We concede early. And then we get one back with the penalty. We go in a 1-1, and you're just feeling like maybe we can steal this one. But clearly there were adjustments that needed to be made from our manager. Like we said, I don't think when we did get the ball, our midfield arrangement with Bruno out on the right, we weren't able to play in behind. Rashford wasn't dangerous in the channels. I felt like Eriksen was getting outplayed a little bit. Halftime, probably, I would have said Eriksen probably halftime. You know, you go hard, you can't go Garnacho yet. You said McTominay. I like that move. High work rate, has a history playing against City, doing it in big games. But the manager says, you know what? We got here 1-1 with what we got. We're coming out 1-1. I think that's also a wise move, not changing it too early. But sometimes it can bite you. And in the 51st minute, they would take the lead. Man, City going ahead.
And it's towards Gundogan. And it's crept in. Nowhere near as cleanly as the first one. Different foot, same outcome. City back in front.
And he's just held his ground, and it's not his greatest hit. But somehow it's just crept its way in.
I mean, completely unmarked, unfortunately. That's got to be Eriksen's man again. De Gea got his hand to it, couldn't save it. You know, looked to me like he should be able to save it. The replay looks like Varane was shielding it a little bit. I don't know if he could have blocked it. Regardless, I think De Gea is getting most of the blame for this one.
I mean, he sees it late, to be fair, like you said. So it's hard in that position because there's not a ton he can do. But I think the halftime sub was the halftime sub to be made, and that was, dude, McTominay, you know, he has limitations as a player, but Eriksen looked like he was getting cut through every time. And he was in the middle of the park, right, because Bruno was playing out wide, and he couldn't stop anything. They just walked around him over and over again. McTominay, he's got the size to defend. I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter. He is making subs not too far after this, but like it's kind of like giving up a goal in the first half in the first minute. It's like you cannot be giving up another goal in the first 5 minutes of the second half because you got to keep it even. And as soon as this went in, you knew like we got our luck in the pen. We needed to kind of keep it tight, and that was not a good goal to give away.
No, we needed a perfect game to be able to win this FA Cup. And coming out and not marking on set pieces and giving players like Gundogan free shots, no matter how low the XG is. I think it was like 0.08 XG he scored 2 goals from, but that's the type of talent that they have. And set pieces are not something United have been good at for like a decade, and we've hired people to fix this problem. And no matter how much money you spend on players, that's coaching. You know, they got to be switched on. They got to know the danger there. And that's just I feel like the taste in everyone's mouth is just the way United conceded this goal in the spot they did, in the time they did, and how they did. And that was the winner. That just leaves a really rough taste in your mouth. Like if it was like a Haaland like banger, like we wouldn't feel as bad as just like a soft, unmarked corner goal that De Gea had his hand on. I think it just adds salt in the wound to most United fans, unfortunately.
And then it's compounded by the fact that it was in the 51st minute. You've got 40 more minutes to try and get a goal. I think he made many, the first sub was right. The second sub wasn't. But when Garnacho did come on, that was the best United looked for about 15 minutes. We were like holding onto the ball. We were recycling it, and we were creating really good chances because he looked up for it all day. He looked electric on the left. But that didn't last.
62nd minute Dave save, 62nd minute sub, Garnacho for Eriksen. Probably should have made this move a little earlier. 69th minute, great chance for United. Bruno finds Rashi at the edge of the box, but he blasts it over. I mean, this is a huge chance. If this is on target, probably goes in. He had the space in a dangerous spot, and just that was our day, just over the bar. Unfortunately, 71st minute, City score, but VAR overturns it for offsides. We were 2-1, and I felt like we kind of waffled in between like giving up and then coming out in waves. And then once we started getting the ball, getting ISOs with Garnacho on the left wing. We started looking really dangerous here after that City VAR overturns. I felt like we kind of lulled into that one. That woke us up. Garnacho on the left wing. He goes just wide in the 72nd. We're back in it. United finally playing football. 75th minute. Garnacho stretches City again. He had Stones on the run, but lots of bodies in the box. Couldn't finish. Bent it wide, sir. And then what's crazy is I felt like here in the 70th minute, we had our best form of football finally going forward. City were looking like they were shelling up wave after wave for United, and then the manager puts in Wout Weghorst for Jadon Sancho, and the attacking momentum literally disappeared, and that is what putting Wout in does. And even more crazy is Wout was playing 10. Like, Wout Weghorst is playing 10 for Manchester United in the FA Cup final, and we need a goal to equalize. And unfortunately for the manager, I have to completely disagree. Like you mentioned, Pellistri here. Love that idea. Like, get the youngster out there. He's rapid. He can beat a man. And I felt like that works so well with Garnacho on the left. Why don't you get Pellistri on the right? You have Bruno, one of the best 10s in the league. Why are you putting Wout in that role? And it killed our attack, really, ultimately. This was capitulation in my mind as soon as he got on the pitch. Sir Alex Ferguson's reaction said it all.
I mean, it is his bench. Doesn't have a lot of options. He's given Wout too many chances. Let's just be honest. And he comes on. I'm sure everyone's sick of us like bashing on Wout, but he doesn't offer anything. He's basically, you're playing with 10 men, and at least with Facundo, you have a little bit of pace. You put Rashford up front. You allow Bruno, like you said, he's our best player. Bruno's our best player by far in this team, and guess what? He plays 10. When you play him on the wing, he's not as effective. So bringing Wout on, who can't score goals, can't win headers, kind of hold the ball up, gets muscled off the ball by players who are smaller than him. He's a fucking monster.
Well, it's not like we're going route one.
Wow,
it's like
exactly.
We had Fellaini.
He's not even good at
route
one.
But we had Fellaini, and it'd be like, all right, 10 minutes left. Fellaini up there.
Because he could head the ball down.
Route one, and it was effective. Like, route one was effective. I like, wow, it's just that the issue for me. I get route one, but like, it's just we don't do that, and it's like you're playing him like a ball playing number 10, and when he's 6'5", he can barely run.
Can't head the ball. He can't head the ball, so you can't do route one.
No, but
with a 6'7" striker if he can't fucking head the ball down.
It's already like we know what happened. I mean, like it killed the mojo. I felt like Sancho was like a dud, and then we started waking up in the 70th minute, and then that's when he decides to drop the Wout bomb, and then.
And Sancho was getting involved. Sancho
Exactly,
was linking up
because he finally got put out on the right,
and that was it. That was basically our last good chance, other than like the very, very end, right?
And then McSauce for Lindelof. He came on, played well. That sub was, I think, you look at the manager's changes. It's like Garnacho, yes. McSauce, yes. 85th minute, Garnacho goes again. Smothered by City again. Best attacker of the day for United. And then 92nd minute, Varane off the bar. Melee in the box. United must score. McSauce, I think it was Rodri actually headed most of it, but McSauce had a shout at it. It was very close, a flurry there, but not that textbook. Like when you saw in the 70th minute, like City shelling up, Garnacho getting the ball, giving it to him, feed Garnacho. We just didn't have that building of the attack ever since the 78th. And unfortunately, that was all she wrote for United. 2-1 to Man City. Felt like it was too easy for them, honestly. We should have made it a little harder after that 51st minute goal, and I can't argue with the fact that the bench, lacking options on the bench, didn't help, right?
No, it didn't. And they're a lot further along their project. But it's not even that. Even with the bench, with the 11 we have available, we know this team can play a lot better than they did today. We didn't play well enough to considering how good and elite the opponent is that we were playing. And I don't even want to say taking our chance. We didn't have that many good chances, but we should have created more. And I think our manager, who has had an incredible first season and is the man, without a doubt, going forward, like his sub, he didn't get it all right today. And managers don't always get it all right? Like, you know, Fergie didn't get it right in 2009 when we went against Barca, and he tried to play toe-to-toe, and we lost by the 20th minute. Today, The subs were wrong. Eriksson needed to be hooked at halftime. Garnacho needed to come on. He came on right when he did, but like you said, like we started actually playing real football, United football. We were like putting them under pressure, and I'll tell you what, City hates to be put under pressure.
No, they were there for the taking.
No, they like really are not used to being put under pressure where they don't have the ball the whole time, and then they start to do tactical fouls. They start to slow the game down, and as soon as that WoW transfer was that sub was made, it was over. It was like, there was nothing. There's nothing doing. Frustrating game. And a frustrating way to end the season because it is a successful season, all things considered. And this is just going to be a bad taste in our mouth. This team's going to win the treble. Now, it's treble with an asterisk.
I'm not saying they're going to win the treble.
No, they're going to win the treble.
They got to win it. You got to win it to win it.
Yeah, but they're going to win it.
Match stats, shitty 11 shots, Manchester United 13. 5 on target for Shitty, 3 for United, 60% of the ball to Shitty, 40% to United. Again, we didn't play well, and you look at that stat sheet, and they didn't just like boss us off the pitch. I mean, you saw Arsenal complete capitulation in their house while they are at the Etihad when they had the league on the line. I don't think this was capitulation at all. I just begged for a more Manchester United performance. It begged to make that badge and those fans proud, and I just don't think we were brave enough. I don't know what it was today, but it's tough to show up in a final. Like I said, finals can be cruel. Manchester United have lost more FA Cup finals than the other side. We captured that on the last pod, and this is the first time in FA Cup final history that starting captains for both sides have scored in the match. I think that's pretty amazing. But do we know? What do we know? Let's check in with Erik ten Hag. He did have a very spiffy suit, blue suit, red tie. He switched up from the turtle. Obviously, it's a hot day in London, but you gotta comment on the bald man style.
First of all, I want to congratulate City with the win of the FA Cup. But as you say, I think it was very narrow. I think it was head-to-head. We played very competitive from out of a very good organization. We didn't allow them out from open play against probably the best team in the world in this moment. We fought back after a quick goal down, and I think we are the only team in the world who is capable of fighting back against this team from City. So yeah, I was happy with the performance of my team.
There's going to be a lot of scrutiny on David De Gea's position again after the second goal. Was at fault when you went up the Europa League. Are you completely comfortable going into next season with him still at the club?
In this moment, I don't want to talk about such issues about criticism because we played all a great season, and including David De Gea, he played a fantastic season. If you consider that the City and we before today had both 42 wins, and so now they have 1 win more, and so the difference was made today, then you can tell we played a fantastic season, and there's more that we could have expected before. We were third, so in the league. We are qualified for Champions League, and we won a trophy, and we were in another final. So, yeah, I'm really happy with the performance from my team all over.
Erik, congratulations. What have you said to the players? Because they waited to see City lift the trophy. Have you told them maybe use this as motivation moving forward?
First of all, show respect always, but yeah, of course it's a motivation. You have to feel it in your stomach. This hurts, and it has to be fuel. We want to be there, and our team, my players.
I did not watch the City lift the trophy. What about you, sir?
No. No, I did not. Don't need to see that. I heard their fans were leaving like even before full time. Is what it is, and the manager's right. It's like, you know what? It was a pretty even match, all things considered. Look at the stats. Like, they didn't blow us off the park. When we lost 6-3 at their house, they blew us off the park. Scouse Bastards blew us off the park. Even if you were to look at the stats of the 2-0 09 loss to Barcelona in that final, like, they blew us off the park. Like, we were in this game. We didn't play up to our level. I think some of the subs didn't go our way. A couple errors that we're not pointing fingers, but, like, we just didn't play well enough. And to play a team of this caliber, you got to go to the highest level. Everyone's got to put in a great 90 minutes, and then you got a shot. So to, like, say that we played, like, okay and we were actually still in this game to the point where Varane was tied it. McTominay was tied it at the dying minutes. Like, we couldn't have been that bad, or this team has taken big progress, but it's a shame because I think that this is the chance to deny them this treble. They'll probably get, I mean, let's be honest. If you're keeping Haaland and De Bruyne around and they're going to spend a shit ton of money this summer, there'll be other chances for them to win the treble, but like, this was the chance to deny it. Arsenal were always going to bottle it. Inter ain't going to be able to do it, bro. I hate to break it to you.
No, but they're right
But
there
United
going. It's like,
at
might as well get
Wembley.
it out of the way. You know, might
No,
as well get out of the way.
Sooner they win, the sooner Pep will leave.
You know, and this whole like sweating the treble thing when United aren't winning leagues, it's also like, you know, it's like sweating 20 times. Like, FA
has turned their back on cheating for like 2 decades. They don't care.
It's hard.
So it doesn't matter anymore.
No, it's ridiculous.
There is no financial fair play. If there was,
No, there isn't.
There isn't because like the biggest joke of all was them talking about Manchester United, like, oh, we're gonna be limited by financial fair play in our buy-ins this summer. It's like, no, we're gonna be limited by how much cash is on the balance sheet because there is no financial fair play. There are no punishments in England for spending more than you make.
No, but there is no. United only spend what we make, and it's just like leverage to the hilt, unfortunately. So let's get into some news. I think we did the FA Cup final.
How's it feel?
Still sucks. Don't feel better. United in the news. Gonna go take over here. This is gonna dominate the summer headlines. And like I said, we'll do our season recap, full official grades next weekend. I think it's good to get some distance from this FA Cup before we kind of go through the season and kind of rate how we did. But we're going to be talking Glazer takeover. Apparently, the 6 Glazer siblings could hang around under the Ineos bid. A lot of people are discussing this and the mechanics of it. It was even in the Financial Times. Can get the actual quote here from the Financial Times. 2 people with knowledge of the matter said the Glazers are now focused on a structure that would allow their 6 siblings to sell down their holdings in proportion to allow Ratcliffe to take control. Ratcliffe and Ineos would buy the remainder of the Glazer shares in the coming years through derivatives contracts. And a fancy way of saying that is, we're going to put some money down and we're going to buy it over time, and the Glazers will be bought out at a premium over time as the value increases. And honestly, if the Qataris did not get to the nosebleed full cash out offer, this is always going to be the way it was going to be done, because who else can offer 6 or 7 billion pounds for the entire club other than sovereign nation states? You know, there's a few Bezos, few guys on this planet that can do it that are also launching rockets to the moon. They have a lot going on, so they're not interested in English football. And
They don't like sports, it seems. Those guys are interested in buying other shit.
Sans that, it's Ratcliffe or someone other billionaire who can buy a controlling stake now. And from the Glazers' perspective, you know, you get a good valuation now. You're guaranteed to get a premium in the future. They're not going to leave, but they're going to be out of control. So again, this whole thing, I think the Swedish Ramble had a great tweet about this point. Like we've been talking about the whole time. I mean, he doesn't pull punches. He tells you exactly like it is. Like we have. Change of control is change of control at the end of the day. And, you know, the Ratcliffe bid, all the details of these bids, you really don't know ultimately. That, like, a very vague line from the FT is basically saying, hey, Ineos is probably the lead horse. And it's not a surprise given how, you know, being out of United, the Glazers probably like owning United. So they can keep it. They can take some money off the table. That's all they want. Wet their beak. And then they get upside. And if you were selling Manchester United, it's probably the option you would take ultimately if the Qataris couldn't get there. And I think a lot of fans are going to be upset because the Glazers are still going to be around, but anyone who knows anything will know that there will be a new CEO, there'll be a new director of football, and the organization will completely turn over under Ratcliffe, and who knows who he is going to be. Whether if he's a good owner is yet to be seen. So whether the Qataris would be good owners is yet to be seen. You know, they haven't been good owners of PSG. You could ask the PSG fans how they've done. So you don't know who. Just because you have money doesn't mean you're going to be a good owner of a football club. And that goes, same goes for Ratcliffe, same goes for the Qataris, same goes for the Glazers. So let's just hope whoever is the next owner, they do a better job than the Glazers.
No, that's it. I think that's totally true. I think this feels like the most likely outcome, especially given the delay. I know you said, like, oh, it's pretty normal, and it probably is for an M&A process, but I think there's something very intentional by the fact that the actual news, whatever decision is made around the sale, will not actually happen until after the season. Well, the season ended today. That's fine. But them hanging around makes the most sense. And like you said, just because Ratcliffe did a shit job, Nice fans are not happy with Ratcliffe and Ineos, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to do a bad job here. And at the same time, the Qataris have done horrible with PSG. They haven't won a Champions League. They've spent a ton of money. But the Abu Dhabis did a terrific job with City because they spent the same amount. Obviously, haven't won a Champions League, but they're in a much more competitive league. They've built a much more competitive team, and they've had less like not constant drama in and around their dressing room. So we've been following this forever. We're going to keep you posted. I think at this point, it's going to bleed into the summer. It's going to bleed into the transfer window, which opens in a week or two. I have to double check. The fixtures are coming out, I think, on the 15th for next season. And it's all going to be about what transfers we can execute this summer, because at the end of the day, we have a hell of a coach. We have a top manager, but we have a lot of fucking dead wood to clean out, and we have a lot of big signings we need to make in this team in order to be able to compete with a Manchester City in these cup finals.
Yeah, if you read the history of Manchester United, all the way back to John Henry Davies, and playing next to the Chemical Works, you'll know that ownership changes, they're big. I mean, we're living through probably an ownership change here with Ratcliffe or Ineos coming in and buying it. And these happen, every 20, 30 years, probably, give or take. There's probably been a few quick ones early on in the history. And they're eras, and the Glazer era is one of decline. And let's hope the next era is one of abundance. And you can look across at our noisy neighbors and be like, it took them a long way to get where they are. It took them a decade, more than a decade, and about $1 billion to get where they are. And you know what? We're maybe not a decade away, but we're pretty far away from where they are. And it's always going to be, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Everyone is selling you sprint takes on social media. Everyone's selling you sprint takes in the traditional media, like United's going to win the league next year. No, this is going to be it's an organizational change. It takes years. The stadium renovation is going to take years. This is going to take a long time to get United back where we should be. And this is just the beginning. So everyone needs to temper their expectations and expect a long haul ride. And it isn't this instant Qatari takeover, solve all the problems. I think that's what everyone is like running around selling everyone, that they're just the instant United's back. Whoever owns us, it's going to be a long ride. Like you said, City, it took them a long time to get where they are. They did a good job, but it took a long, long time, and one of the best managers of all time, unfortunately, staying there loyal to them while breaking rules. It took him a decade of breaking rules.
Loyal to that bag, bro.
Exactly.
We were laughing about it in the game.
To win a league, it took a certain amount of money. To get where they are now, it was a different strategy. It took time. Ten Hag needs 5 years, 10 years with backing, with a world-class director of football, with an organizational change, and that will take time, and we're going to be here keeping posted. Speaking of
world-class talent, Mason Mount.
World-class talent, Mason Mount, LOL. And then basically the Magoo, paying Magoo to leave is also like the funniest thing I've ever heard. That is Manchester United.
But they're speculating, right?
In a nutshell.
That assumes that we can't sell Maguire and find him a new contract with some kind of at least close to parity with what we're giving him now, right? You don't just automatically have to give him $10 million.
Well, I will tell you.
You might have to give him $10 million.
I've been around the block.
A lot of contract negotiations on the football side.
Well, I've seen a lot of things happen, and usually when you pay £80 million for a player, if you want to get off him, you got to get him off him quick and sell him for 40 or 35. But the fact that we decided to keep him last summer when Chelsea were interested, that's the crime. And the fact he's the captain this season as well. He's worthless now.
Worthless.
He is he had some value last summer because everyone's like, well, he still plays for England, et cetera, et cetera. Now, like, we've played him, and then Ten Hag has benched him, and he's the captain. We're like, literally, like, nothing to see here. Like, his value is very, very. It's like no one's paying you nothing for. I mean,
still
like,
worth 25-30 million, bro, because he still starts for England.
all right, so let's see if somebody pays 25 or 30 million for him. I doubt it. There's gonna be. It's just like Martial, like. Once you go to Sevilla and you don't
there's
do well,
more
there's
value in
nothing
Harry
there.
Maguire than there is in Martial, because at least Harry Maguire stays fit. He could do a job for a West Ham. Martial will run down his contract. No one will sign him this summer because he's on £250,000 a week.
Well, this is Martial
2x
and
what he's
Maguire are
he's worth.
just United. That's just United business. It's
This
just-
is a front office.
It's literally like
This is about
dumpster
spending-
fire of money. It's just like put money in a dumpster, light it on fire.
and push it down the hill.
Exactly.
And that's what you said. City, they did it for a decade. They did it for decades, spending $1 billion on the books. They probably spend another $1 billion off the books, right? Like, what's his name? Pep gets paid $20 million officially. He probably gets paid another 30 off the books because that's how they do business. And at the same time, they have like an elite front office. They like poached the best talent from all over Europe, including Barcelona. And we have morons. We have like low-level quality director of football, sweating CEO, and what do you get? You get 2019 giving a new contract to Phil Jones, 2019 giving like a bumper contract to Tony
it's
Martial.
all Woodward. That's all. That's the Woodward
Well,
era,
Glazers.
right? That's and Glazers. Yeah, of course. Next one here, Laurie Whitwell. Rasmus Højlund is joining SEG Agency, who is co-founder, represents Erik ten Hag, and he's a regular in the Old Trafford director's box. Transfers are about relationships. Højlund has said he's a United fan, follows a bunch of United players, switched agencies. This is like a little bit of a tell. Højlund, is he the next Haaland? He's Danish. He's 20 years old. He's a young player. Our Danish friend who's come on the pod, he's a Milan fan, but he did sort of give us the inside track.
Plays at Atalanta, so he plays in Serie A, so he would know. 6'3", decent size. He's 20.
He says he's very, very young. Would be beneficial to give him a year on dry loan at Atalanta, then take him across the pond. So he says
We need him though. We're
he
dying
needs
for
to-
bodies.
He's a talent that needs to be developed, and I think ultimately the key here is not overpay and develop young talent while overpaying for the sure thing that scored goals in the English Premier League in the form of Harry Kane, and then getting you need Harry Kane and Højlund.
Yes.
Let's not be like it's not, but we're gonna go Højlund or bust. I mean, we're up against it really.
You need two strikers. You need a 20-year-old and a 30-year-old. You need like a EPL proven guy, and then someone who could sub and get minutes, cup matches. A real football club that had aspirations to be competing for the season, you'd be having like 5-6 targets. What are we going to get in? 3-4 maybe? You need two strikers.
And the next bit of news here, Delot long-term deal through 2028. We're not pursuing a right back this summer. We have talked about our signings that you and me think we need to prioritize. I think it's really clear what we're going to be going for. And I also don't like how we're telegraphing exactly what we're doing already.
As usual, right?
and
Every
this is
summer,
bad.
every summer it's like that, isn't it?
So, if I was the director of football, I'd be worried that, we need a striker, we are going to sign an attacking midfielder, and we are going to sign a goalkeeper. So, everyone who has a good goalkeeper is going to be like $100 million. Everyone, Mason Mount, they're going to give us a high price
80
tag.
million.
And then Harry Kane's $150 million now. So, everyone just, and then Højlund's 85. Everyone knows what we want. We're telegraphing it to the world. I thought right back we were linked with another promising Dutch player.
Frimpong.
We could be frisky at right back, and instead we're basically locking up these positions and then letting everyone know exactly what we want, and it's going to make the business difficult in the window. On right back, the only thing I have to say is, look, Delot, he is not the guy yet. Can he be the guy? Sure, he can be the guy. Has he had plenty of chances? Yes. Did he play at that level this year? For 10 games. But I've seen Martial be the guy for 10 games. I've seen a lot of different players be the guy for 10 games. You need to be the guy for the entire season, 40 plus. So he's got the potential. Very long-term deal. Very long deal. I just feel like this smells like Glazer complacency. Hey, we don't have the money to spend this summer to get a world-class right back. So let's just go with what we got and go again. I just don't feel like we're progressing. I think you either got to make the call, keep one or the other, and then go for someone else in the market. I feel like left back with Shaw is the guy, and then Malacia, the understudy coming up. That's the perfect balance you want. Is AWB the guy? He's amazing defending, but the attack, that in the English Premier League, you need somebody who, like, look at Shitty. You need people who can go forward in the attack from at fullback. That's like basically how we have to play.
Yeah, but you'll do the cheap and easy thing, right? You're going to re-sign Delo. You're going to re-sign De Gea. You're going to re-sign probably Fred.
Exactly.
Shaw deserved it. Rashford's the most important of the lot. We need to get his contract lined up. And here we are in a position where, dude, what do the elite clubs do? And who is the most elite club in the country? It's City, unfortunately. And the way that they handled former legends, and Delo ain't no legend, but like the way they handled Kompany and Aguero and David Silva, and these players
they
still
moved
had
off of them.
Exactly, bro.
These
players had like plenty left in the tank. They're thinking about letting Gundogan go. He tore
he's
some
gonna
bits.
go.
He's gonna go. He might go to Arsenal. Get another. He might go to
But
Barca.
what did Fergie do? Fergie wasn't given long-term deals to people who aren't the guy. We were like moving off the guy to get the next guy. Like,
dude, he sold RVP so he could take up Rooney and Ronaldo and put those guys under his wing. It's like you have to be ruthless. And this club, dude, we just lack the.
You mean
ruthlessness.
RVN, Ruud van Nistelrooy, right?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
RVN got pushed out because RVN wanted to win now and didn't want to have these young kids around. But obviously, Rooney and Ronaldo are a different breed.
No, this is
You have to
where
be ruthless. We're not ruthless anymore.
Look, is right back like the biggest deal right now? Like, probably not. So look, I agree. This is a controversial take on my end, but I'm just trying to say, if you look at how the game is played in England right now, like, fullback is so. Even when we played, fullback is so critical. You got to be able to go forward, got to be able to get back, and I feel like Delo can go forward, can't defend. Wan-Bissaka can defend, can't really go forward. And I feel like, we're going to favor that left-hand side. That's fine. We can play that way too, but that balance is so critical. And so we're just going to punt to next season, and maybe that is the right move, because maybe Delo will show up next season and prove us all wrong. And you know what? I hope that he does that, and I hope that this is a big boost of confidence from the manager, and I hope it's not being I hope we're not seeing the manager being hamstrung by the Glazers and their budget, because you're not going to get a goalie for less than £80 million. Like, every player that we want, goalie, Mount, striker, price just went up because we're just telling everyone what we're doing.
And we're also we don't do what the top clubs do, which is they just keep it quiet, and then they're like, oh, we've agreed a deal, like City go for Kovacic, or Brighton are going for this new winger, or Newcastle are going for this random right back. They just go and they get the deal done. And I feel like it's still run by Ed Woodward effectively. Like Richard Arnold, John Murtaugh, they're all Ed Woodward light. And what did he used to do? He used to love if we're in the press, that's great. Being in the press is half the story. So they forecast what's going to happen around their transfer dealings, and that's never worked out because we always get taken to the cleaners when it comes to buying and selling players.
Well, we're judging early. Some people are happy we're doing things early. That's another.
We haven't done anything early. Just talk. We're just talk.
But people are I just feel there's such a knee-jerk reaction. You gotta judge the season as a whole. We're gonna do that next weekend. You gotta judge the transfer window as a whole. But again, the fact we're already narrowing it down, and if I know what we're doing, everyone else does, and that just means the prices are going up.
Like Sancho, remember us? Being we want Sancho,
I even feel like the way Ten Hag is talking about De Gea in the press, I feel like he's kind of telegraphing we're getting a guy, and everyone's listening. I feel like we got to be no.
He's been pretty cagey on that personally.
You got to be pretty off the. You got to be pretty. It's like the NFL draft. It's all smoke screens. Everyone's lying. Everyone's not telling the truth. I feel like we're just way too transparent with our transfer business, and we got to be way more Jersey sleight of hand. Jumping to fan questions. At you, Boaston, 10 months ago, I was dreaming of a season like this. We gave it a go in 4 tournaments, and we did well in 3 of them. Tough loss today. Almost did enough to force a draw. Lack of striker is killing us. If we'd add the right reinforcements this summer, we'd come out swinging.
It's a big summer for this side. if they could get it right, even if they could pull together a summer like last summer, we'd be in good shape because we overpaid, but we brought in a lot of top talent to Worldies. We could use 2 more Worldies. Get a Worldie midfielder, kind of upgrade Eriksson, Worldie striker. Now you're talking. So we got a big summer ahead of us.
Not a question, but a huge thanks to both of you for all you do for us. Muppets, been listening since the start, and you guys are getting better and better. Glory, glory, Man United. Now take your wives out to dinner to build up the points for next season.
Savage.
I don't know if dinner would move the needle.
It's going to take a lot of dinners. I just say you got to take her on holiday.
Sir. At JL Tawny, shout out to you, Eric. We really appreciate the comment there. IC.
Yeah, thank you,
at
sir.
IC1.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Muppet to Muppet. This is what it's all about. It's tough to lose a final on the last day. We haven't had to do this since Villarreal. At JL_Tawny34, quote, did De Gea play his last game in a Manchester United kit?
No.
I think he should have. And I'm like a De Gea defender. Like, people might say I'm a De Gea defender, but I think this is because, like, the hate meter is on him so much. I mean, we won the Golden Glove. The biggest criticism for me of him today is he can't play it out the back. I don't think it was the shots. I think it's the fact that, like, he sucks at kicking the ball up. He can't pick out a pass. He makes the back line nerve. Like, him with the ball at his feet is the biggest weakness. It showed today, and it didn't help us. The second shot, like, I guess, but it's kind of one of those things where, for me, the biggest thing is he can't play out the back. You have to be able to do that. He's coming up in age, and we should have already had someone to move off of him. So the answer is he probably will be playing for us next year, but he shouldn't. And that's someone who actually, like, supports the man, because we didn't sign him because of his feet.
Yeah, and the game has moved, right? He's playing under Fergie. He won the title with Fergie, but the game has evolved so much, especially like where we were under Fergie, all the managers in between Fergie, and then who Erik ten Hag is in terms of what he likes to play. So it probably should be his last game. It certainly will not be his last game because they're going to re-up his contract. They're going to punt, I think, on goalkeeper, at least looking for a starter. And, on to next year because there's a lot of holes to fill in this squad.
At Bleeding Red SD11, quote, the lads should be proud of the season they had, and Erik ten Hag, we believe. Can't wait to watch Garnacho kill it next season. Hopefully we add to the squad so John doesn't put himself on the pitch as much.
Well done. That's what I'm talking
about. That's a great tweet.
About.
Shout out.
You weren't on
Brennan.
the pitch today. Could you have scored any of those goals that we didn't get over the line?
I would not have
the
helped us win
McTominay
the
one.
FA Cup
You might have been
final.
able to nod in that last chance.
No.
Football's perfect. The fact that we were still in it.
I'm actually
at the 92nd minute. We could have tied it up.
I call balls and strikes.
You've been on the pitch
I
a
would
lot.
not have helped us win the FA Cup. Let's put it that way. At Mike United Mets, quote, don't worry, sirs, when the FA, who is never corrupt, always does the right thing and definitely doesn't value money over everything, cracks down on financial fair play. This will be another trophy that is ours in the history books. Unfortunately, when they do that, they usually don't reallocate trophies because that just adds to the nightmare of the situation. And they're just going to literally fine them and
they're not going to fine
not do anything.
Maybe like some money. They're not going to fine them points though, right?
All right, we're going to add in a little salt here. Randy Scrandy L. Can you honestly be happy after today's result regarding the entire season just because we didn't get blown out today? Season is a 3 out of 10 at best. I think that's F-. Far more cons than pros. Need Qatar in a summer window to die for, or we're in for more of the same next year. I mean, look, some fans are salty after that loss. Like Randy, I'm not going to shy away from the salty take of United should be winning the treble. United should be better. We need to get money bags, McGee owner in and buy everyone this summer to like turn it around like right away. I mean, like clearly that would be great. But you also have to look at reality. We're in a sale process, etc. So manager's first season, you got to grade on a curve, unfortunately. So for me, it's like this is a tough. It gives me a bad. The final gives me a bad taste because it's just too much of this team not turning up in big moments. And like I really do think we could have been in a title race. There's something that this team lacks when we get up against it, and getting up against City in this final was just a little too much for us. And Maybe it's a togetherness. I don't know. It's a small thing. It's something intangible I can't put my finger on because we have the talent. It's just not showing up is like such a weird thing. We've seen so much over the last couple of years at United.
Yeah, and I think we've seen less of that this season. It still exists. We've had games
Yes,
where
exactly.
we
Yes,
capitulated, right? Like Newcastle away, Liverpool away. I don't think we capitulated today because if we did, we would have gotten blown out. And, I think personally, Randy, your criticism is a little harsh. 3 out of 10 is like absurd given where we were at and the context of what happened because we just lost in a final. We finished 3rd place and we won something else. But to each his own. That's the great thing with American Devils. There's no bad takes. There's just bad Wout Weghorst.
No,
I'll tell you what, the best highlight of today was we don't have to see Wout Weghorst ever again.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx
Are you kidding me? He's done, bro. Like he won't even get a gig in the EPL. Burnley are like, we're good. We're good.
That to me, that
matters.
I will say I've seen a lot of football in 20 years, and Erik ten Hag putting on a Wout Weghorst when we need to win games after what he's seen, like a significant sample size
It's
of what
worrisome.
he's seen.
It's worrisome, actually.
That to me is like bizarre, and I like Erik ten Hag, but it's almost like your boy is
like
into
playing
like
your
some
son.
type of chick that
Like-
you don't get it. You're like he's into this girl and you don't see it.
Like, isn't
You
Michael
know, and you're
Bradley's...
like, all right, man, you do you. But the problem is, like, you doing you is getting this guy on the pitch way too much. And, like, it's just, I feel like all the fans know it and see it. But he's doing other good things, so you got to give him a pass. I don't, like, that to me is, I got nothing for you. And I just hope he leaves so that we just don't have to deal with this kind of question anymore. Because it is a very bizarre question.
It's like in America, like sometimes like a star player, their dad becomes the coach, and then that guy like plays all the time. Like, isn't there Bradley? Wasn't
It is like- he's
wasn't
like
Bradley like the guy who used
child
to
out of
play in
wedlock,
midfield?
yeah.
Like his dad was a coach, and he'd always play. Like it little feels like Wout and him are like cousins once removed. But even he knows that he's not good enough to be brought on, even for like 2. I bet you Burnley would just give him away at this point.
Yeah, but the funny thing
but
is,
he's
like,
not worth.
10 games ago, 15 games ago, it was like, maybe he sees something we don't. And then after those 10, 15 games,
got
like,
worse.
there's nothing
He
he's
got
seeing.
worse, bro.
No, he got, like, it used to be like, okay, he runs around. Then it got to be like,
He's running
all
less.
right. But the 3 out of 10 for me, you have to look at where we were last season, and that's probably the worst season since Sir Alex. So for us to actually, like, have that be the low and us kind of improving off that and having a new manager hitting the ground running with all the Ronaldo drama and stuff. So a lot of caveats there, but I got to say, I do disagree with more cons than pros. I feel like there's more pros than cons this year.
Ty will finish strong though.
At Ty Kircher, but we're not all positive here. You need some salty fans are all over the board. You
I'm
know,
salty today.
I heard a lot of salty takes about this game and people talking about this season. But you got to look in the mirror and be like, man, we don't got it. At Ty Kircher, quote, a tough end to a long season, plenty of frustration to go around. In the end, we see there is a ways to go. Encouraged by much of the fight. We will get into a full season recap later, but the lads had fight after going down 1-0 in 15 seconds. Proud of the lads. Hashtag glory, glory, Man United. Hashtag Glazers out. And I guess that, the conceding in 13 seconds doesn't help.
No,
Like that really set the tone. I mean, like you take away that goal, we're in extra time, or we win, and it's like that's the worst.
it's the only thing we couldn't have had
If City
happened.
win, there's so many ways City can win 2-1, and I don't think like you talk about the Randy take. There's a certain fans are kind of miffed about this match, and like you can see in 13 seconds, that's like kind of like clown show stuff.
Yeah, you're fucked.
The set piece unmarked, like bad, like soft hit, the hand on it, the whole 9.
Bad subs.
It just was. It has this game left a lot to desire from the United side, and I have to be honest about that. That as a fan, like watching it, I'm not like pumped to lose and concede in this way, and that
Because we weren't blown off the park. I feel like it's almost more
exactly.
frustrating
Yes.
if you're close and like we could have won this game.
That's the point.
We could have won this game if we
that's
played
the
better.
frustration. The frustration is like, and that game that we could have won, probably should have even pushed it to extra time, will result in
Then
Shitty win the trouble.
Yeah,
And that's the extra salt in the wound.
I mean,
you
we're
know?
not
And
the
to
one
end the
reason why.
season-
Like
and
Arsenal
to end
blew
the
the title
season like that is rough. To end the season like that also is rough. To have to
because
be
you
the
were in
last
it.
kick of the ball.
We could have been in it. this game, like if it was managed slightly different, if the boys played better, we could have won the game. And that's the worst kind of feeling because, like, you know, you're dejected when you get smoked. And today we had our chances, and that's the most frustrating thing because every United fan, dude, we don't like losing, bro. The finals, I remember the losses. They stick out. 09, I'll remember 09 for the rest of my life. Like that just like daggers in the heart. And 11,
So I'll never forget.
11 was even. I was in Rome, bro, trying to get a ticket. And
09 was like,
Brutal.
I was like, I need a break.
because at least our team was good. 11 was just like a encapsulation of the.
No, that was
genius
last
of
Ronaldo. I mean, like before he
No,
came back.
9
control, but yeah.
No, but like 11 was like that team was like scraps. Like
No,
yeah, like
that was the
cleverly,
beginning
bro.
of the.
It was like they
yeah,
weren't
no,
spending.
No, that was.
But the fact that he got to that final in the first place proves that he is, in my mind, the goat of goats. But hey, that's another story.
Man, well, look, I feel like that's a good place to end it. It's been some solid pod therapy. The FA Cup finals in the bag, season's in the bag. Season recap next week. Like the American Devils, we're for fans, by fans. Hell of a lot of pods this season. It's been a real one. Appreciate everyone listening and supporting us. You want to support us some more, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/AmericaDevils, AmericaDevils.store. Start giving us our top 10 downloads the last 7 days.
Number one, how you doing? How you doing? Dallas, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, New York, New York, Charlotte, North Carolina, Houston, Texas, Toronto, Canada, London, England, Dublin, Ireland, and last but not least, Brooklyn, New York. Appreciate all the American Devils listening win week in, week out. Couldn't do it without you. It's been a hell of a season. Appreciate you every step along the way. We will be back next week with a season recap. And either way, have a great summer. We're going to be with you every step of the way. Like John said, pod never sleeps.
Lots to
there's gonna be
cover
a lot
this
of noise.
summer.
There's going to be a lot of noise between the sales and the transfers going on over the coming months. So can't wait to keep you posted.